normal life with his mother and younger sister Suna. After breakfast, he set out for school, rushing to catch the train on time and luckily making it. He met his close friend after the recent summer break and went to class together. Upon arrival, everyone learned that the seating arrangements had changed and Ayaba would have to sit next to Hina. She seemed shy and avoided looking at Ayaba. According to Ayaba, Hina had returned to Japan a few months ago. The two rarely talked, so he felt she was cold and distant towards him. When she dropped her eraser, Ayaba picked it up for her. Not knowing how to thank him, she became flustered and almost fell while grabbing the eraser. Ayaba caught her, making her even more embarrassed, but the teacher told them both to focus. During the break, Ayaba played basketball with two friends. They wondered why Hina seemed to pay attention to Ayaba, but he was too focused on playing to care about what his friends were saying. Ayaba's big friend approached Hina and asked if she really liked Ayaba because she kept watching him. He was very grateful to and respectful of Ayaba, as they were both in the basketball team before. But he had suffered an injury and had to transfer to this school because it was close to the hospital. Ayaba had also transferred here with him, so he deeply valued Ayaba. Suddenly, Hina noticed some kind of warning out at sea. A mecha appeared, and according to the pilot inside, he had just traveled from the future. Luckily for him, his target, Ayaba, was also in this time period. He quickly rushed towards the land. He soon reached Ayaba's school before Hina had a chance to explain to him. Ayaba was immediately held at gunpoint by the pilot and forced to run. The pilot scanned with infrared and saw that Ayaba was still alive, so he immediately gave chase. Along the way, Ayaba's two friends fell down, but seeing that the mecha wasn't targeting them, Ayaba knew he was the target and ran ahead. The pilot found the mecha's auto-aim mechanism to be useless, so he aimed manually, but his skills were even worse than the machine's. He continued to chase Ayaba, while Hina got on a motorcycle and sped off. Ayaba ran into a crowded residential area, but the pilot calmly pursued and wreaked havoc there. Hina told Ayaba to follow her. She drove into a warehouse and activated her own mecha stored there. She then flew to engage the pilot outside to help Ayaba. As Ayaba was about to run away, Hina called him to climb up with her. The other pilot was shocked when he discovered Hina. He was angry, not understanding why Hina was doing this to him. He then grabbed a weapon, lunged forward, and cut off one of her arms, but she still had the other arm to fire. She aimed at crucial parts and fired, causing the other pilot to fall. She believed she had destroyed his power source. When Ayaba wanted her to explain everything, she confessed that she and the other pilot were from the future. She knew the other pilot was targeting him, so she came back here to monitor and protect him, because Ayaba's future self had instructed her to do so, saying that someone would certainly try to kill his past self. Hina, thinking her job was done, planned to escape and let Ayaba return to his normal life. But suddenly, the other pilot wasn't completely defeated. He desperately lunged to grab Hina's mecha. He activated self-destruct to take her and Ayaba with him. She couldn't open the cockpit because he was blocking it from outside. She then discovered the time portal he used to come here and pulled him into it. He was subsequently crushed by the pressure of the gate. Knowing she couldn't hold on much longer, she told Ayaba that he was about to go to the future and to remember to find Dio. She then disappeared into the portal, and Ayaba soon arrived in the future. He later woke up inside a mecha and heard radio communications, discovering that the person named Dio was nearby. In front of him was an ongoing battle. Everyone there was quite surprised to see Ayaba's robot. They came to ask who he was, and he didn't know exactly where this place was. They also didn't know who Hina was before, but first they had to get out of this situation. The young man named Dio then approached Ayaba to prepare to combine with him. Ayaba didn't understand everything, but at least he could fight alongside others. The captain of the team has allowed Ayaba and Dio to merge because he believes this is the only way to win the battle at this moment, and if anything goes wrong, he will take responsibility. The command team then called Dio and told him to combine with Ayaba. He understood and relayed this to Ayaba, specifically that he only needed Ayaba to follow his instructions. Ayaba complied, and immediately after, his robot showed signs of transformation along with Dio's robot. Dio then flew over and stood with Ayaba. Dio took the initiative to charge forward and fight, surprising everyone with how highly compatible Ayaba was with him. Ayaba gradually began to understand the mechanism and how to control the mecha. This was the information sharing mechanism when merging together. Ayaba could see the actions he needed to take to control the robot. Dio had started to toy with the enemy in the air, while the mission command was surprised that Ayaba could also fight on his own. However, this synchronization affected both sides, as when Ayaba was knocked back, Dio was suddenly jerked backward as well. Ayaba stood up to fight and could even fly on his own. When the enemy chased him, he saw instructional images and turned back to slice the enemy in half. The robot exploded, and the enemy, now angered by their comrade's death, began to fear the power of the synchronized pair and decided to retreat. The base then ordered Dio's group to return without pursuing. The deputy commander asked the commander what to do with Ayaba, and he said he would deal with it later, as the priority now was to leave this base because it was heavily damaged. Ayaba was very tired at this point, and Dio understood this, so he released the synchronization. Ayaba lost his wings but managed to land safely. The others then came to Ayaba. He didn't know how to open the cockpit, but Dio opened it and pointed a gun at him, asking who he was. The commander reported to his superiors that they were about to leave the base. The superiors wanted him to erase everything about the experiment at this base, including Ayaba. He was being interrogated and learned that it was the year 2088. At this time, Japan was an ally of the Free Federation, and since last year, the Free Federation had declared war on the Federal Republic. He then asked if this was really Dio, but Dio wanted him not to talk as if they knew each other. Moreover, Dio didn't believe that he was a person from 70 years in the past. The commander then had orders to call the first mate and Dio for a meeting. Ayaba took out Hina's hairpin, hoping to remind Dio of something, but it seemed Dio didn't know who Hina was either. After hearing that Ayaba was from 70 years ago, the commander was skeptical, as time travel wasn't unusual in this era. Anyway, since Ayaba had fought to help them, they would temporarily keep him on the ship. They also wouldn't detain him to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. Dio didn't want to fight with Ayaba anymore, even though they had very high compatibility. Ayaba was then given back his belongings, and a girl and her brother guided him on some basics like opening doors on this ship. This place was very large, so he needed to limit his movement if he didn't want to get lost. The ship was about to depart, so the other two left first. Ayaba felt that maybe Hina was wrong to bring him here because Dio didn't seem to welcome him at all. The ship then officially shook and took off. Meanwhile, out at sea, the enemy from the Republic side had sent out the previous units to attack the Federation's ship again, and the Federation side was still unaware as they took off from the devastated base. Around the first half of the 21st century, humans discovered a new type of energy. This energy changed the entire world situation. Possessing a new energy source made the Republic grow very quickly and expand across the continent. The opposing countries were forced to form an alliance and establish the Free Federation to confront the Republic. The constant disadvantage against the growing Republic forced the Federation to come up with a new trump card, which was the synchronization system. This could help them fight on par with the Republic. However, this synchronization mechanism repeatedly encountered unexpected failures, causing the entire project to collapse and pause. And 1 year ago, when the battle resumed, this research was continued, but it was concealed in secrecy. The girl Mayu was explaining this to you, but he dozed off, causing her to become very angry and shout. The reason the commander wanted Mayu to explain everything in detail to Ayaba was because he might still need your power, and since this was a national secret, letting Ayaba know also meant they would have to monitor he closely. Ayaba now had to follow to apologize to Mayu because he was really tired and fell asleep. While at school, they were suddenly attacked. then brought here to fight while synchronizing. He also mentioned Hina, but Mayu didn't know which Hina he meant, so she believed he were opening up and imagining a bunch of scenarios from the past. She then took Ayaba to see the mecha he had piloted earlier. He noticed it wasn't like the mecha he came here with Hina. Mayu explained this was a special mecha that couldn't have a second one, specially made for a specific pilot, so if he use it next time, it will synchronize better to suit you. Ayaba didn't know he would still have to use it, while Mayu didn't understand why the commander asked her to modify this robot. Dio then passed by and scolded Mayu for letting Ayaba wander around. He couldn't force Ayaba because he wasn't military personnel and wasn't bound by the rules here. Suddenly, the alarm went off. Mayu told Ayaba to go back to his room while she and Dio ran off, but Ayaba didn't know which way his room was. The main ship needed at least 3 to 5 minutes to charge energy, so the pilots were sent out to fight and buy time for the main ship. As the enemy was predicted to be only 3 people, Dio and 2 others went into battle. The engineer then didn't know what Ayaba was doing there. After a while of dancing around with the enemy, Dio's group's engines were ready, so they were called back. The enemy also actively retreated, making everyone think this trip would be smooth. However, a cannon shot hit and damaged the main ship's rear thruster. The one who did this was a high-ranking commander of the Republic, Alfred. He fired on the spot. The enemy was forced to support each other in retreating. Hina, still eager for victory, continued to fight with Ayaba only to be slashed once, revealing her pilot cabin. Ayaba recognized it was Hina, so he forcibly stopped synchronizing, affecting Dio. He opened his cockpit to go and take Hina away, but she had regained consciousness and didn't know him. Meanwhile, the Republic ordered Hina's arrest on suspicion of being a spy because her name was known by the Federation side. The Federation also had similar suspicions, and some suspected Ayaba was from the Republic. The commander thought it was best to keep Ayaba on probation and under constant surveillance for now. The place they had just landed to refuel was actually where Ayaba used to live, so he asked Mayu to take him on a tour of the area. He went to where his home used to be, but it had been leveled for redevelopment. He thought about looking for his sister, but realized that if she were alive, she'd be 88 years old by now, so he didn't. Mayu also tried to search, but found no information, so they both went to Ayaba's old school, which was completely destroyed by the war. He went to the old basketball court and remembered Hina. Ayaba asked Mayu about the Republic's position because he decided to meet Hina once more to talk. She thought it was too dangerous because he had been seen in the recent battle, but he also thought it was crazy because they were at war now. He then returned to the ship with Mayu, but he considered giving up fighting because he didn't want others to get hurt because of him. However, Mayu, like everyone else, didn't blame him and saw him as a savior. Remembering what everyone had said, he still decided to participate. He went to see the commander and agreed to be a pilot for him because it was the only way he could be useful and he might be able to meet Hina again. The commander wanted him to be sure because she might see him as an enemy who couldn't be spared. Dio was the only one who opposed. The fact that everyone accepted letting him continue to pilot the robot made Dio uncomfortable. He was then promoted to second lieutenant and went to share this with Conrad. The girl here, Vera, told him not to force synchronization next time or both his and Dio's brains would be seriously damaged. That night, the commander also felt lucky that Ayaba decided to return, otherwise he would have had to shoot him to protect national secrets. The next morning, just as they set out, there was suddenly an announcement that a nearby cargo ship was attacked by Republic soldiers. They immediately went to assist, and Mayu informed Ayaba that the synchronization time was only 6 minutes, so they had to be quick. Dio seemed to obey orders but didn't like having to synchronize with Ayaba. Synchronization couldn't succeed because both sides had to trust each other. Due to the lack of trust, the process failed. They had to fight normally, but Dio recognized the emblem on the attacked ship as his family's, so they had to help Dio save his family as he had rushed in impatiently. Ayaba contacted Dio and shared that he would help Dio protect his family. so they would temporarily trust each other again to synchronize. They quickly cut down all enemies and separated the enemy ship from Dio's family's ship. Taking that opportunity, the command ship immediately shot down the enemy ship. They then escorted Dio's family's ship to the airport, and he immediately ran to meet his family. He was happy to see his sister again, but his father thought staying in this place was a waste of time. The next day, Ayaba still didn't quite understand Dio's situation when suddenly Mayu and another person, Lieutenant Jisaka, came to find him. Both of them informed him that from now on, they would be Ayaba's trainers. At this time, the commander had to deal with a lot of paperwork and procedures, which made him very tired. He asked the vice captain about their 2 trump cards and learned that Dio, after having issues with his family, had gone off to train, while Ayaba, as known, was being sent for training as per the ship's tradition. After hearing Jisaka's briefing, Ayaba felt everything was too rigid now and wanted to leave. But Mayu kept him back because this was partly an excuse to take him on a tour. Ayaba was made to clean around the ship, including the bathrooms, and was also dragged to help in the kitchen and other places. Meanwhile, Hina had been released, and Alfred wanted her to prove her loyalty to the Republic through actions. This guy named Bison seemed to be very interested in Hina, but she only saw him as a teammate, nothing more. Ayaba, tired of cleaning the ship, stopped working. Suddenly, he saw Dio's sister trying to enter, but being held back by soldiers. He went down to ask and learned she was Fiona, Dio's sister. She was afraid to meet Dio, fearing he was still angry due to their father's words yesterday. She also didn't dare to leave early, fearing Dio would feel guilty. It was revealed that Dio had participated in a battle in their hometown before and couldn't save his mother, and Fiona's leg was injured then. Dio blamed himself for not being able to do anything that time, so he didn't dare to face his family. Ayaba decided to help. He pretended to have a stomach ache in front of the soldiers to help Dio's sister and the servant sneak in. They then went to the command room to ask about Dio's location, only to find they were organizing a party to welcome Ayaba. The reason for making him clean was to keep him away while they prepared the party. They then called Dio and asked him to come to the command room to talk with his sister. However, suddenly a battle alert appeared. The Federation forces at sea were being outnumbered, so they should use the synchronized form to accelerate. Both of them rushed straight ahead of the command ship and formed a shield to allow the ship to accelerate. No matter how much the enemy fired, their shots were deflected. They bought enough time for the ship's cannon to charge and fire at the enemy command ship. The Republic commander fired back in vain and almost wet herself as the command ship rushed straight at her. But a collision didn't occur and the Federation temporarily preserved their forces. Back on the ship, everyone could finally breathe easily, and Dio managed to say a word of thanks because Ayaba had helped his sister and him. Not long after, the matter of a part of the Federation secretly researching synchronization technology was exposed, largely due to Dio and Ayaba. Therefore, an inspection team would be coming soon to observe Ayaba and Dio along with their mechas. The commander wanted the vice captain and some others to wear swimsuits for a promotional video to attract more supporters for them. Just then, the passenger ship arrived. Ayaba had heard about the upcoming promotional team and thought it strange to have such things during wartime. But this was to help gain more supporters and trust in the synchronization mechanism. The promotional team then entered and was very surprised to see the 2 mechas and their pilots. However, they came mainly to film Dio, so Ayaba didn't need to participate. This time, they had invited someone named From to film the commercial with Dio. From had come to greet Ayaba and asked to borrow his mecha during the commercial shoot. The advertising crew then went to the command room, and the deputy captain showed them the top secret areas that were off limits. From tried to demonstrate how smooth talking he was by showering the deputy captain with compliments, which she obviously didn't care about. Meanwhile, Mayu and her friend Rose planned to check out the guys from the advertising crew. As soon as Rose met From, she immediately switched to boy crazy mode and asked to lead the entire advertising crew on a tour of the ship. Dio silently left, so Ayaba had to chase after him to ask if he knew From. He did know him, as they had attended the same training school. From was a sociable person always surrounded by others, completely opposite to someone like Dio, who believed that getting close to others was unnecessary for a soldier. However, Ayaba had to admit that From wasn't bad looking. It was just that Dio didn't like talkative people. During this time, Alfred had reported some things to his superiors, and they wanted him to continue showcasing himself in future missions. Hina, on the other hand, kept thinking about Ayaba. She didn't know what was wrong with Ayaba and why he knew about her. Her teammate later came to take her deer watching to help her relax her mind. Back at the Federation, Rose was allowed to be the mech for the commercial. She went to interview the chief engineer, who found it annoying to be disturbed. His waves surprisingly matched to From. These were also elite soldiers of the Republic and extremely serious about their mission. The remaining pilots had to join the battle to deal with the situation. Since it was their first time synchronizing, Ayaba and From were still not used to fighting together, resulting in them being separated, and the enemy scattered a bunch of floating mines. Ayaba found a way to escape the minefield, but Dio noticed that the direction Ayaba was escaping would lead him further away from his teammates. Knowing the enemy was trying to isolate Ayaba, Dio had to follow to support him. Ayaba now stood before the enemy commander's gun, but Dio rushed in to push away some enemies and caused a distraction, making the commander miss his shot. Ayaba's group had a chance to retreat, and the enemy, having their formation disrupted, also chose to withdraw. The director was delighted because that battle scene was perfect for his commercial. The commander knew that the other group would return, so he warned everyone not to let their guard down. Ayaba later came to thank Dio for his help. The director also rushed over to give Dio and From the script for the final scene and shot it right after. The advertising work was finished, and the enemy was planning to prepare for a second attack to prevent the Federation from having time to rest. The Federation ship with the 3 members of the synchronization group. Meanwhile, the elite group was extremely anxious because they couldn't detect the Federation, so the commander deployed a 360-degree radar, even though using this radar would expose their position first. They weren't afraid because they were stronger. The Federation commander quickly jammed their radar frequencies. Vera now informed Ayaba about how many people had suffered severe brain trauma in the past when experimenting with synchronization. Therefore, she had to design the specialized cockpit to support synchronization that he was using now. She also created a standard brain wave pattern and trained compatible people to synchronize with that standard brain wave, thus achieving their current success. However, Ayaba was a special case. He didn't need to go through training because his brain waves were already compatible with their standard brain waves. Therefore, he could almost synchronize with any pilot they trained. However, problems arose from this. The fact that he could synchronize with other pilots had caused issues for 2 prime examples, From and Dio. It caused their brain waves to deviate far from the original standard brain waves. As a consequence, the more they synchronized, the less Dio and From would be able to synchronize with anyone other than Ayaba. Synchronizing with Ayaba was a double-edged sword. However, if they stopped now, Dio and From could still train to return to the standard brain wave synchronization. Suddenly, at this moment, their ship was detected by the enemy, but not by the standard brainwaves, so they became significantly stronger. The enemy commander was then rushed and struck down by both of them, and the remaining enemies scattered like headless snakes. As soon as they noticed the synchronization had been dissolved, Alfred allowed his team to enter the battle. The commander knew that continuing to fight would be futile, so he ordered a retreat into the storm. Everyone was called back, and Alfred also didn't want unnecessary losses by advancing into the storm, so he withdrew as well. But Hina separated from the team to pursue them relentlessly, forcing others to turn back and follow. Ayaba and Dio had returned to the ship by this time, but before Ayaba could enter, he was blocked by Hina. He had to stay and fight and couldn't go inside. Hina's teammates tried to advance, but were pushed back by the Federation ship, and soon both were blown down by the storm. When Ayaba later regained consciousness, he found himself on an island. The mecha had run out of power, so he couldn't communicate. He got out of the mecha and found Hina trapped in a stream. He ran down to check and saw that she didn't know how similar she was to the Hina he knew, but she wasn't her and didn't know him at all. She was a Republican soldier, not his classmate. Dio, seeing that the storm had eased, wanted to go find Ayaba. From also went along and let Dio know that the commander only gave him 3 hours to search. Meanwhile, at this point, she managed to signal Bizon, and shortly after, Dio's side arrived first. Before letting Hina go, Ayaba returned the hairpin that belonged to the previous Hina to her. Although she wasn't the person he knew, he still wanted to give it to her. He and Mayu introduced came to find them and completely believed that Ayaba came from the past. His hypothesis was similar to the research on the synchronization mechanism. Although people initially said it was absurd, it eventually became feasible. The professor now announced that synchronization technology had not yet been widely disseminated because it still lacked convincing evidence. He also revealed that the Republic currently had the potential to develop this technology because one of his students, who was also Vera's classmate, had defected to the Republic. His name was Han, and he had just reviewed the mission of the female supervisor. Han informed her that she only had one last chance to destroy the Republic's ship, as the superiors could not accept any more failures. Alfred had briefed the team about the upcoming plan, but the female supervisor said use enough missiles, shocked that she didn't notice to see the results. Federation's new base to steal the design of synchronization technology, and if possible, to take both of Ayaba and Dio would become useless without his only in the synchronization. He wasn't sure what, nor was she her father's biological daughter. At this time, Bison heard that Hina had disappeared and frantically went to search. Ayaba explained to Hina that she was herself, so if she wanted, she could return with Ayaba, and he would explain to everyone to help them accept her as part of the Federation. But as soon as she was then called by Dr. Han to test as a synchronization pilot. He gave her time to consider whether she wanted to participate in this experiment, and he deceived her by injecting a drug to stabilize her mind. The superiors who sent them quickly joined the army. Synchronization quickly moved to deal with. He had never once managed to stop or save her from it. But he made a quick decision, and just as Hina was about to rush in with Bison, he rushed to save her. Dio also decided not to stop Ayaba anymore, but flew with him to hold on to Hina and use full force against Bison. The loop was ended here, and Allied forces quickly shot down the Republic's cannon. The Federation side achieved a great victory. Now, when Hina asked Ayaba why he didn't enter the vortex to return, he believed there would still be opportunities in the future. Moreover, if he left now, there would be people who would miss him terribly. They then returned together in glorious victory, and the film ends here. This is Ayaba. He has a normal life with his mother and younger sister Suna.